The unstoppable invasion. The Galactic Dominion's warships hovered above Earth like a dark storm, their shadows blotting out the sun in cities across the globe. For decades, the Dominion had expanded its reach, conquering countless planets and subjugating entire species. Earth was merely another target, a small, insignificant world with no advanced weaponry or fleets to defend itself. To the Dominion, humanity's resistance would be nothing more than an amusing delay. Admiral Korth, the leader of the Dominion fleet, stood on the bridge of his flagship. His cold eyes scanned the holographic display of Earth. "Begin the assault," he commanded. His voice was devoid of emotion, as though ordering the extermination of an insect nest. Dominion fighters descended like a swarm of locusts, burning through Earth's atmosphere. Explosions lit up the skies as they targeted Earth's defenses, satellites, communication hubs, and military bases. On the ground, panic erupted. Civilians fled for shelter, while soldiers scrambled to organize a hopeless defense. In New York City, a mother clutched her young son's hand as they raced through the streets. Buildings trembled under the weight of explosions, and the air was filled with the wail of sirens and the cries of the wounded. "Mommy, are we going to die?" the boy asked, his voice trembling with fear. The mother could not answer, her own face pale with terror. Meanwhile, in underground command centers around the globe, humanity's leaders argued over what to do. The Dominion's technology was centuries ahead of theirs. No alliance, no treaty, and no amount of courage seemed capable of stopping this invasion. "It's over," muttered General Thompson, slamming his fist on the table. "They'd breached every defense we had. We can't fight back with sticks and stones." But in a dimly lit chamber deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, something stirred. A secret known only to a handful of Earth's most trusted minds was about to be revealed. A scientist in a worn lab coat pressed a trembling hand to a control panel. His voice was steady, though his heart raced. "Activate Project Legend," he said, the words carrying the weight of years of preparation. Across the globe, hidden facilities roared to life. Monolithic structures, buried for centuries, began to shift. Machines awoke, their engines humming with a power unlike anything humanity had ever seen. The broadcast was sent out, an eerie, cryptic message that played on every device still functioning. "You leave us no choice. It's time to awaken the legends." In the Dominion's flagship, Admiral Korth frowned as the message was relayed to him. "Legends? What nonsense is this?" he scoffed. His officers murmured uneasily, but he dismissed their concerns with a wave of his hand. "This is nothing but a desperate attempt to frighten us. Continue the operation." Back on Earth, a team of elite soldiers stood before a massive steel door deep underground. The door bore no markings, only a faint glow emanating from its edges. They had been given no explanation, only orders to guard the chamber at all costs. Suddenly, the door began to slide open, revealing a towering figure bathed in light. The figure stepped forward, its presence commanding. Clad in armor that shimmered like molten silver, the figure's eyes glowed with an otherworldly intensity. It spoke, its voice resonating like a drumbeat in the hearts of those who heard it. "I am Vanguard, the first of the legends. Humanity has called, and I have answered." News of Vanguard's emergence spread like wildfire. Around the world, hope flickered where despair had taken root. People gathered around screens, watching in awe as the legends, beings of incredible power and skill, awoke one by one. Each carried the essence of Earth's greatest myths and stories, brought to life through a blend of science and something almost magical. The Dominion noticed this shift in humanity's morale. Their once cowering prey now showed defiance. Small resistance pockets began to form, inspired by the arrival of the legends. Dominion officers were perplexed. This was not the behavior of a species on the brink of annihilation. Admiral Korth, however, remained unconcerned. "They can awaken all the legends they want," he said. "It won't change the outcome. This planet will fall, just like all the others." But as the legends began to organize their counterattack, Whispers of fear started to creep through the Dominion ranks. Dominion soldiers reported strange encounters, stories of invincible warriors who turned the tide of skirmishes, of machines that moved like living creatures, and of weapons that seemed to defy logic. In one such battle, Dominion forces attempted to overrun a small human outpost. Just as victory seemed assured, Vanguard arrived. The Dominion soldiers watched in stunned silence as he stood alone against their assault. When the dust cleared, the outpost stood untouched, and the invaders had been wiped out. Humanity, once thought to be weak and defenseless, was now the center of a mystery the Dominion could not understand. The legends were more than just weapons. They were a promise that humanity would not go quietly into the night. As the first day of the invasion came to an end, Admiral Korth gazed at Earth from his ship's command deck. For the first time, doubt crept into his mind. What are these legends? He muttered to himself. But humanity had no intention of revealing all its secrets just yet. The legends were only the beginning. Legends reawakened. The Dominion's fleet hung motionless in Earth's orbit, a predatory silence settling over the planet. On the surface, humanity's scattered defenses had fallen quiet, not in surrender, but in anticipation. The message, "It's time to awaken the legends," had left both humans and Dominion forces puzzled. Who were these legends, and how could they possibly change the tide of an invasion already deemed inevitable? Beneath the icy plains of Antarctica, a colossal structure began to shake off centuries of frost. Hidden beneath layers of rock and ice, the facility came alive, its walls pulsing with an energy that defied explanation. Deep within its labyrinthine corridors, dormant pods hissed open, revealing figures encased in shimmering, crystalline cocoons. One figure stirred, its hand pressing against the translucent shell. With a shattering crack, the cocoon burst, revealing a man-like figure with eyes glowing a fierce, electric blue. His body was encased in armor that seemed to shift and adapt with every movement. His voice, when he spoke, was both ancient and commanding. "I am Aegis, the shield. Earth calls, and I answer." Across the world, similar scenes unfolded. In the deserts of Nevada, a massive vault erupted from the sand, spilling forth a storm of dust and wind. From its depths emerged a towering figure with crimson armor and a hammer that sparked with contained lightning. His booming laugh echoed across the dunes. "They'll regret waking me," he said, his voice carrying both mirth and menace. In the dense forests of the Amazon, an almost ethereal figure appeared, her body seemingly woven from light and shadow. With every step, plants blossomed in her wake. "I am Echo," she whispered, her voice barely audible but resonating deeply. "And the Dominion will hear my voice." The world watched in awe as the legends awakened, each embodying an aspect of Earth's myths, history, and raw potential. These were not just warriors. They were humanity's answer to the galaxy's oppression, beings engineered to harness the very essence of survival and resistance. Some were created from the brilliance of human technology. Others seemed to draw from forces humanity could barely comprehend. News of the legends spread faster than the Dominion could control. Their soldiers, once confident and ruthless, found themselves facing tales of invincible beings. In one battle near the ruins of an old airbase, a Dominion scouting party encountered Vanguard. The hulking legend stood alone, his armor gleaming under the smoke-filled sky. The Dominion's plasma cannons fired in unison, but when the smoke cleared, Vanguard remained unharmed. His counterattack was swift and devastating. A single strike from his weapon split the ground beneath the Dominion forces, sending them scattering in panic. Admiral Korth grew increasingly uneasy. Reports of the legend's exploits flooded his command deck. "These are merely stories," he insisted, though his voice betrayed his uncertainty. "No one being can stand against the might of the Dominion." But as the days wore on, the stories became harder to dismiss. A Dominion destroyer, attempting to target Earth's last remaining communication hub, was intercepted by a legend known as Nova. Alone, She soared through space without a ship, her body encased in a fiery aura. With a gesture, she unleashed a wave of energy that obliterated the destroyer, leaving behind only fragments that drifted silently into the void. Inside Dominion ranks, fear began to grow. The legends were not simply defending Earth, they were turning the tide. Every encounter left the Dominion's forces shaken, their once unwavering confidence now eroded by whispers of invincible warriors. Meanwhile, humanity rallied. Inspired by the legend's courage and strength, soldiers who had once considered surrender now prepared for battle. Civilians banded together, fortifying their cities and sending supplies to the front lines. Hope, once extinguished, burned brighter than ever. Yet not all welcomed the return of the legends. In a secret meeting room deep within an Earth government facility, a shadowy group of officials debated the consequences of their awakening. The legends were meant to be a last resort. One man argued, "We barely understand them ourselves. What if they become uncontrollable? They are our only chance," another countered. "Would you rather bow to the Dominion?" Unbeknownst to them, the legends were already aware of these discussions. Aegis, Vanguard, and Echo stood together in an undisclosed location, their glowing eyes fixed on a holographic map of Earth and the Dominion fleet. "The humans fear us almost as much as the invaders," Echo observed. "Can we blame them? We were created to be more than human." Vanguard's voice was firm. "We exist to protect them, no matter what. Let them fear us, but let them live." As the legends prepared for their next move, the Dominion launched a desperate counter-strategy. Admiral Korth ordered his top strategists to uncover the truth about these mysterious warriors. "If they bleed, they can die," he declared. "Find their weakness." But the legends had no intention of giving the Dominion time to regroup. The world stood on the brink of a new kind of war, one where myths and reality collided, and where the very definition of humanity's strength would be redefined. The Dominion thought victory was theirs. They had no idea what was coming. The first counterstrike. Admiral Korth stared at the holographic display aboard the Dominion flagship. Reports flooded in from across the invasion zones, skirmishes lost, key ships destroyed, and Dominion forces retreating in fear. "Legends," he muttered under his breath, his tone a mix of disbelief and anger. "Fairy tales cannot win wars." But on Earth, the legends were proving him wrong. Vanguard, Aegis, and Nova, along with others yet to reveal themselves, had transformed the battlefield. Each engagement with the Dominion became a story of defiance, of human ingenuity paired with the unrelenting strength of their mythical champions. In the sprawling wasteland of an abandoned city, Dominion forces regrouped. Towering war mechs stood guard over the perimeter, their sleek forms bristling with plasma cannons and shields strong enough to deflect orbital strikes. Commander Xylox, a seasoned Dominion officer, surveyed his troops. His confidence remained unshaken. "These so-called legends are nothing more than enhanced soldiers. They bleed like the rest. Hold this position, and they'll come to us." What Xylox didn't know was that the legends had no intention of waiting. High above the city, Nova soared through the ash-filled skies, her fiery aura casting light over the desolate ruins. Through her visor, she scanned the Dominion's defenses. Heavy artillery, layered shielding, aerial drones. "They've dug in deep," she said, her voice calm but edged with determination. On the ground below, Vanguard and Aegis moved silently through the wreckage of the city. Their communication was seamless, a combination of gestures and brief words. "We'll hit the western flank," Vanguard said. "Nova, take out their drones. They won't see us coming." At precisely midnight, the legend struck. Nova dove from the sky like a meteor, her fiery form illuminating the night. The Dominion's drones immediately targeted her, unleashing a barrage of plasma bolts. But Nova was faster. Twisting midair, she unleashed a wave of energy that engulfed the drones, reducing them to molten fragments. The explosion lit up the city and Dominion troops scrambled into action. "Contact. Enemy air unit." shouted a soldier, but his warning came too late. Nova was already gone, a streak of fire disappearing into the clouds. On the ground, chaos erupted. Vanguard charged through the western flank, his massive frame plowing through barricades and Dominion mechs like they were made of paper. Soldiers opened fire, their plasma rounds ricocheting harmlessly off his adaptive armor. With each step, the ground trembled. When he swung his massive blade, it cleaved through both metal and stone, leaving devastation in its wake. Aegis followed close behind, his shield generating a shimmering barrier that absorbed incoming fire. Dominion mechs that tried to engage him found themselves disarmed. Literally, as Aegis dismantled them with precision strikes. "Keep moving," he urged Vanguard. "We need to reach the command center." Commander Psylocke watched in disbelief from the safety of a fortified bunker. "Impossible," he whispered as the legends tore through his forces. "No one should have this kind of power." Desperation took hold. "Deploy the Warbreaker," Psylocke ordered, his voice trembling with both anger and fear. From the depths of the Dominion's encampment, a massive mech emerged. The Warbreaker stood twice as tall as anything on the battlefield, its armor reinforced with a rare alloy that even Dominion plasma weapons struggled to penetrate. Its arms were equipped with energy cannons capable of leveling entire cities, and its core glowed with a pulsating red light, a prototype power source rumored to be unstable but immensely destructive. The Warbreaker moved toward the legends with a deafening rumble, each step shaking the earth. Dominion troops rallied behind it, their morale restored by the sight of the unstoppable machine. Vanguard stopped in his tracks, his eyes narrowing as he sized up the Warbreaker. "Well," he muttered, gripping his blade tighter. "That's new." Nova rejoined them, landing beside Vanguard and Aegis. "Big, slow, and ugly," she remarked, flames dancing around her hands. "I like a challenge." The Warbreaker opened fire, its energy cannons unleashing a torrent of destruction. Buildings crumbled, and the ground itself seemed to erupt under the assault. But the legends were undeterred. Nova darted forward, drawing the Warbreaker's fire with bursts of flame that blinded its targeting systems. Aegis moved in next, his shield absorbing the blasts as he closed the distance. With each step, he pushed the limits of his barrier, the glow around him intensifying. Vanguard waited for his moment. When the Warbreaker turned its cannons toward Aegis, Vanguard leaped onto its back, driving his blade into the machine's core. Sparks erupted as the Warbreaker's systems overloaded, its movements growing erratic. Nova added a final strike, sending a concentrated blast of energy into the mech's exposed core. With a deafening explosion, the Warbreaker collapsed, its massive frame reduced to a smoking ruin. The Dominion forces, witnessing the destruction of their greatest weapon, broke ranks and fled. As the dust settled, Vanguard stood atop the remains of the Warbreaker, his armor scorched but his resolve unshaken. "Tell your admiral," he growled, addressing a captured Dominion soldier. "Earth doesn't fall without a fight." He just placed a hand on Vanguard's shoulder. "This is just the beginning," he said. "The Dominion will come back stronger." Nova nodded, her fiery aura dimming as she glanced at the retreating enemy forces. "Let them. We'll be ready." Back aboard the Dominion flagship, Admiral Korth's fists clenched as he listened to Psylocke's report. The legends had not only survived, but had obliterated one of the Dominion's most advanced weapons. "So," Korth said, his voice low and dangerous, "they want a war. Let's give them one." The battle had shifted. The Dominion no longer faced a weak, defeated species. They faced humanity and its legends, the hidden strategy. Admiral Korth stood at the command deck of his flagship, staring at the massive hologram of Earth and the relentless legends who had turned the tide of the invasion. Every tactic, every weapon the Dominion had unleashed had been met with defiance and victory by these so-called legends. But Korth wasn't a man who accepted defeat easily. "Enough of these games," he growled, his voice cutting through the tense silence of the command room. "Deploy the infiltrators." If the legends are unstoppable on the battlefield, we'll find another way to break them. The Dominion's infiltrators were elite operatives, experts in sabotage and espionage. They were sent to Earth in stealth pods, slipping past the planet's defenses unnoticed. Their mission: uncover the source of the legend's power and exploit any weaknesses they could find. In the ruins of an old research facility in Siberia, an infiltrator team discovered a lead. Buried beneath layers of ice and rubble was a vault, its surface etched with strange symbols and warnings. Inside, they found fragments of ancient records, data that hinted at the true nature of the legends. They weren't just human experiments or advanced technology. They were something far more complex. Meanwhile, on Earth, the legends sensed a change in the Dominion's strategy. Vanguard, Aegis, and Nova met in a secluded mountain base, their presence commanding and otherworldly. "They'd gone quiet," Aegis said, his voice steady but concerned. "No major offensives, no warships firing. It's unlike them. They're planning something," Nova replied, her fiery aura flickering as she paced the room. "They know brute force won't work. They're digging for answers." Vanguard's expression was grim. "We can't let them find those answers. If they uncover the source of what makes us, they'll find a way to destroy it." Unbeknownst to the legends, the infiltrators were already piecing together the puzzle. The ancient records revealed that the legends weren't just the result of human ingenuity. They were connected to something older, something buried deep within Earth's core. A mysterious energy source, referred to in the records as the Origin, was the key to their power. The infiltrators' discovery triggered a race against time. The Dominion began mobilizing a covert strike force to extract the Origin. If they succeeded, not only would the legends be rendered powerless, but Earth itself could be destroyed by the energy's destabilization. The legends, now aware of the threat, prepared to defend the Origin at all costs. But they didn't know its exact location. The ancient records had been fragmented, scattered across hidden facilities worldwide. Humanity's brightest minds worked alongside the legends, deciphering the clues while preparing for the inevitable confrontation. One clue led the legends to the depths of the Mariana Trench, where a forgotten Dominion probe had detected strange energy readings centuries ago. Vanguard, Nova, and a newly awakened legend named Spectre, a shadowy figure who could manipulate the very fabric of space, descended into the abyss. The journey was perilous. Dominion drones patrolled the trench, and the crushing depths tested even the legends' enhanced bodies. Spectre's abilities proved invaluable, creating distortions in the water to hide their movements. Nova provided light and heat, cutting through the darkness with her fiery aura. Vanguard led the charge, his strength unmatched as he tore through Dominion machines guarding the depths. At the trench's bottom, they found a massive ancient structure, a gateway pulsing with a faint rhythmic glow. It was unlike anything they'd seen, its design alien yet strangely familiar. The glow intensified as they approached, reacting to their presence. The Origin was near. Above the trench, Dominion forces launched a surprise attack. Dozens of warships appeared, deploying swarms of mechs and drones. The battle in the skies was fierce, with Earth's remaining forces fighting desperately to hold the line. Aegis, leading the ground forces, coordinated the defense with precision, his shield protecting entire battalions from orbital bombardments. The legends in the trench faced their own challenges. The structure's defenses activated, releasing mechanical sentinels that seemed impervious to their attacks. Spectre's abilities allowed them to evade the sentinels, but the deeper they ventured, the more powerful the defenses became. As they reached the inner chamber, they found a crystalline core, a swirling vortex of energy that seemed alive. Nova approached cautiously, her flames dimmed in the presence of the immense power. "This is it," she whispered, "the Origin." But before they could secure it, the Dominion's infiltrators arrived. Equipped with cloaking devices and advanced weaponry, they launched a coordinated attack, targeting the legends with precision strikes. One of the infiltrators activated a device designed to contain the Origin's energy, its tendrils of light beginning to dim. The battle that ensued was unlike any other. Spectre used his ability to create illusions, confusing the infiltrators and buying time. Nova fought with fiery determination, her flames clashing against the Dominion's technology. Vanguard, as always, was the shield and sword, holding the line as the chamber shook from the intensity of the fight. Despite their efforts, the containment device continued to siphon the Origin's energy. The Legends realized they had to make a choice: either destroy the device and risk destabilizing the Origin, or let the Dominion take it and doom Earth. In a desperate move, Spectre sacrificed himself, using his power to teleport the containment device, and the infiltrators holding it, into the void of space. His final words echoed through the chamber: "Protect Earth, at all costs." With the device gone, the Origin stabilized, its glow returning to full strength. But the cost was heavy, and the Dominion was far from defeated. As the Legends regrouped, they knew the final battle was drawing near. The Dominion's secrets were out, and humanity's greatest strength and greatest vulnerability had been exposed. The Battle of Shadows. The Dominion's fleet loomed ominously over Earth, a dark storm of warships and battle stations. Despite their recent setbacks, Admiral Korth's resolve had only hardened. He stood on the bridge of his flagship, a smirk on his face as his officers reported. The Legends may be strong, but strength alone is not enough. They will never see this coming. The Dominion's strategy had shifted. Instead of open warfare, they deployed their most insidious weapon: the Shadow Protocol. This covert operation aimed to sabotage humanity's defenses and destabilize the Origin without directly engaging the Legends. Infiltrators, cloaked ships, and sleeper agents embedded among humanity's population began their work. The first strike. In the heart of Earth's largest defense outpost, located in the Andes Mountains, systems began to fail without warning. Shields flickered, communication arrays went dark, and key weapons malfunctioned. Engineers scrambled to fix the issues, unaware that Dominion operatives were already inside, planting viruses into their systems. The Legends arrived just as the outpost's defenses collapsed. Aegis and Nova led the charge, their presence rallying the overwhelmed human soldiers. Vanguard stayed behind, coordinating with Earth's scattered leaders to identify the source of the sabotage. In the chaos, Nova encountered a Dominion operative disguised as a technician. Her glowing eyes narrowed as she grabbed the man by his collar. "You're not one of ours," she said, flames sparking in her palms. He smiled defiantly, activating a device that unleashed a pulse of energy, temporarily disabling Nova's abilities. The operative escaped into the shadows, leaving behind a trail of destruction. A desperate search. The Legends realized they were fighting an enemy who thrived in the dark, an enemy who preferred to strike from within. Humanity's leaders were rattled. If the Dominion can infiltrate our most secure locations, how can we trust anyone? One general asked. Vanguard's voice was steady, a beacon of calm amidst the panic. "We trust each other. The Dominion wants us to tear ourselves apart. We can't let that happen." The Legends split into teams, each tasked with uncovering the Dominion's operatives and thwarting their plans. Vanguard and Aegis returned to the Origin's location, fortifying it against further sabotage. Nova and a newly awakened Legend named Pulse, a tech-savvy fighter with the ability to manipulate electronic systems, went to Earth's capital cities, working to root out sleeper agents. Pulse proved invaluable. His ability to interface with Dominion tech allowed him to uncover a disturbing truth. The Dominion had activated a network of sleeper drones disguised as ordinary machines across the globe. These drones could simultaneously attack key targets, overwhelming Earth's defenses and leaving the Origin vulnerable. The Shadows strike. The Dominion's plan began to unfold in the dead of night. Across the globe, the sleeper drones activated, launching coordinated attacks on critical infrastructure. Power grids failed, Communication lines were severed, and chaos erupted. Cities plunged into darkness, their inhabitants caught between panic and survival. In New York, Nova and Pulse fought to disable a swarm of drones targeting a nuclear power plant. The drones moved with eerie precision, their programming almost intelligent. Pulse hacked into their network, but the system was heavily encrypted. "They've built this to fight me," he said through gritted teeth. "It's learning." Nova bought him time, her fiery aura lighting up the night as she incinerated wave after wave of drones. "Then we'll fight smarter," she said, her determination unwavering. In the Andes, Vanguard and Aegis faced a similar battle. Dominion operatives had deployed cloaking devices, making them nearly invisible. Aegis used his shield to protect the human soldiers, while Vanguard hunted the cloaked figures, his enhanced senses detecting even the faintest movement. A game of deception. Admiral Korth watched the chaos unfold from his flagship, satisfaction evident in his expression. "This is what they feared," he said. "Not our weapons, but our ability to dismantle them from within." But the legends were not without their own strategies. Pulse, after hours of relentless hacking, discovered the central command signal controlling the sleeper drones. It wasn't coming from the Dominion fleet. It was being transmitted from a hidden Dominion base on the dark side of the moon. Nova relayed the information to Vanguard, who quickly mobilized the legends for a daring counterstrike. "If we take out that base," Vanguard said, "we cut the head off the snake." The lunar assault. The legends launched an unprecedented mission to the moon, their transport craft cloaked to avoid detection. The hidden base was heavily fortified, with automated defenses and Dominion troops prepared for any assault. But they weren't prepared for the legends. Vanguard led the charge, his massive frame absorbing fire as he cleared a path through the defenses. Aegis and Pulse worked together to disable the base's shields, while Nova created diversions that drew Dominion forces away from critical areas. Inside the base, the legends found the command center, where a Dominion officer controlled the drone network. The officer smirked as they entered. "You think you've won. This is only the beginning." He activated a failsafe, setting the base to self-destruct, while transferring the drone network's command to Admiral Korth's flagship. The legends had only minutes to escape. A narrow escape. Pulse, working against the clock, managed to disrupt the transfer, forcing the drone network into a shutdown loop. With seconds to spare, the legends evacuated the base, the explosion lighting up the lunar surface behind them. Back on Earth, the drones fell silent, and humanity took a collective breath. The Dominion's Shadow Protocol had been defeated, but at great cost. Cities lay in ruins, trust among humanity's leaders was shaken, and the Origin's safety was still uncertain. Korth's next move. Admiral Korth, though frustrated by the loss, remained undeterred. "The Shadows failed," he admitted. "But now we know what drives them, their precious Origin. Prepare the fleet for the final assault. If they value it so much, we'll take it from them." The legends, battered but unbroken, stood ready. They knew the true battle was still ahead, a battle that would decide not only Earth's fate, but the fate of humanity's place in the galaxy. The final stand. The Dominion fleet moved into position, its massive warships blotting out Earth's skies. Admiral Korth had grown tired of subtle tactics. This time, he would unleash his full might with a single objective: seize the Origin and crush Earth's defenders. The legends and humanity would either submit or be erased from existence. The calm before the storm. On Earth, the legends prepared for the inevitable assault. The Origin's location, now revealed to both sides, had been fortified with every resource humanity could muster. Shield generators encased it in an impenetrable dome of energy, while legions of soldiers and automated turrets stood ready to defend. In a hidden bunker nearby, the legends gathered for what could be their final strategy session. Vanguard stood at the center, his deep voice cutting through the tension. "This isn't just about Earth. If the Dominion takes the Origin, they'll use its power to enslave every world in their path. We can't let that happen." Aegis nodded, his shield glowing faintly with anticipation. "We hold the line here, no matter the cost." Nova, ever defiant, smirked. "Let them come. They've thrown everything at us, and we're still standing." But not all were as confident. Pulse, analyzing Dominion fleet movements, pointed out a troubling detail. "They brought their planet cracker," he said grimly, projecting a hologram of a massive Dominion superweapon. "If they activate it, they'll destroy the Origin and Earth with a single shot." The room fell silent. Destroying the Origin would deny the Dominion their prize, but leave Earth as nothing more than a memory. The Dominion's assault. The attack began with a barrage of orbital strikes, testing Earth's defenses. The shield around the Origin held, but barely. Dominion ground troops descended in waves, their advanced mechs and drones overwhelming human forces at the perimeter. The Legends split into teams. Vanguard and Aegis led the charge on the front lines, rallying soldiers and holding back the Dominion's relentless advance. Nova and Pulse, working together, targeted Dominion artillery units, their combination of firepower and hacking sowing chaos among the enemy ranks. Despite their efforts, the Dominion pushed closer to the Origin. In the skies, Dominion fighters engaged Earth's remaining air forces, creating a brutal aerial battle. Explosions lit up the atmosphere as ships collided and fell in fiery arcs. The planet cracker's countdown. From his flagship, Admiral Korth issued the final order. "Activate the planet cracker. Prepare to fire." The massive superweapon, positioned on the edge of Earth's orbit, began to power up. Its core glowed with an eerie red light, and its energy readings spiked to catastrophic levels. Humanity had mere minutes before it unleashed its destructive power. Pulse, monitoring the situation from a forward command post, shouted through the comms, "We're out of time. If that thing fires, it's over." Nova turned to him, her fiery aura flaring. "Then we take it out. I'll get us there." Without waiting for a reply, Nova called for Spectre's replacement, a legend named Shadowstride, who could teleport small teams over short distances. Together, they formed a strike team with Pulse and a handful of Earth's elite soldiers. The infiltration of the planet cracker. Shadowstride teleported the team directly onto the planet cracker's surface, bypassing its outer defenses. The team moved swiftly, navigating through narrow corridors filled with Dominion soldiers. Nova led the charge, her flames cutting through the enemy like a blade through paper. Pulse hacked into the weapons systems, disabling security measures and mapping a path to the core. The deeper they went, the stronger the resistance became. Dominion soldiers, armed with experimental weapons designed to counter the Legends, fought with ruthless precision. Shadowstride used his teleportation to outmaneuver them, while Nova and the soldiers provided cover. Finally, they reached the planet cracker's core, a massive reactor pulsing with unstable energy. Pulse immediately began working to overload the system. "I can force it to shut down," he said, his fingers flying over the control panel. "But it'll take time." The final battle. Back on Earth, Vanguard and Aegis were pushed to their limits. The Dominion had breached the inner defenses, and the shield around the Origin began to falter. Vanguard roared, his blade cutting through Dominion mechs as Aegis shielded a group of retreating soldiers. "We can't hold them much longer," Aegis shouted, his shield flickering under the constant barrage. "Then we don't stop fighting," Vanguard replied, his voice filled with unyielding determination. Sacrifice and triumph. On the planet cracker, Pulse succeeded in overloading the reactor, but the core's instability triggered a chain reaction. "We have to go now," he shouted. Shadowstride began teleporting the team back to safety, but Nova hesitated. "If we leave now, they might stabilize it," she said. "I'll stay and make sure it's finished." Pulse's eyes widened. "Nova, don't." She gave him a small smile, flames dancing around her hands. "Earth needs this win. Go." Before anyone could stop her, Nova unleashed her full power into the reactor, accelerating its collapse. The team barely escaped as the planet cracker exploded in a blinding flash, taking Nova with it. The aftermath. The destruction of the planet cracker sent shockwaves through the Dominion fleet. Their forces, now leaderless and disorganized, began to retreat. On Earth, the Legends and humanity celebrated a hard-won victory, though the loss of Nova weighed heavily on them all. Admiral Korth, watching from a safe distance aboard his flagship, clenched his fists. "This isn't over," he growled. "They'll pay for this." But for now, Earth had prevailed. The origin was safe, and humanity had proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, they could stand united. The Legends, battered but unbroken, prepared for the final chapter of their fight, a battle not just for Earth, but for the galaxy itself. Humanity's triumph. The Dominion fleet, though damaged, regrouped on the dark side of the moon. Admiral Korth paced the bridge of his flagship, his calm exterior masking the fury within. The destruction of the planet cracker had left him with no choice. If he couldn't take the origin, he would annihilate Earth and ensure the Legends were wiped from existence. "Prepare the Eclipse Protocol," Korth ordered. His officers hesitated, glancing nervously at one another. "You heard me. If Earth will not kneel, then it will burn." The Eclipse Protocol was the Dominion's final weapon, a doomsday device capable of collapsing an entire planet's atmosphere. Once activated, it would choke Earth in darkness and fire, leaving nothing behind but ash. Rallying Earth's defenders. On Earth, the Legends and humanity's leaders gathered in a final war council. The loss of Nova weighed heavily on them, but her sacrifice had ignited a fire within everyone. Vanguard stood at the head of the room, his voice steady but urgent. "We've bought time, but Korth won't stop until Earth is destroyed. This is our last stand. We either face them now or lose everything." Aegis nodded, his shield resting at his side. "We've held them off before. We can do it again." Pulse, still shaken from Nova's sacrifice, spoke up. "Korth's fleet is crippled, but they've activated something big. I've intercepted their transmissions. It's called the Eclipse Protocol. If they deploy it, Earth is finished." The room fell silent. The stakes had never been higher. Vanguard stepped forward, his gaze sweeping over the gathered soldiers, scientists, and leaders. "This is it. We fight for every life on this planet, for every hope and dream humanity has ever had. The Dominion thinks they've seen the best of us, but they're wrong. Today, we show them what Earth can truly do." The final battle begins. As the Dominion fleet prepared to activate the Eclipse Protocol, Earth's forces launched a daring counterattack. Every remaining ship, drone, and fighter jet rose into the skies, creating a defensive net around the planet. The Legends led the charge, their presence inspiring humanity to fight with renewed determination. Vanguard and Aegis boarded a Dominion cruiser, using brute force and strategy to disable its weapons systems. Pulse infiltrated the flagship's communication network, feeding false information to confuse the Dominion's fleet. Shadowstride teleported strike teams directly onto enemy ships, wreaking havoc from within. On the ground, civilians banded together to fortify their cities. Makeshift bunkers became command centers, and even children helped by carrying supplies to the front lines. Humanity, for the first time in centuries, stood united. The Eclipse Protocol unleashed. Admiral Korth, watching the chaos unfold from his command deck, smirked. "Let them struggle. It won't matter." With a single command, the Eclipse Protocol was activated. A massive device emerged from the flagship's underbelly, its panels unfolding like the petals of a deadly flower. The sky above Earth darkened as the device began to siphon energy from the atmosphere, creating a swirling vortex of fire and shadow. Vanguard, aboard the Dominion cruiser, saw the Eclipse Protocol powering up. "We have to stop that thing now," he shouted into the comms. Pulse, working furiously from his station, analyzed the device's structure. "It's shielded by an energy field. We'll never get close enough to destroy it directly." Shadowstride appeared beside him, his expression calm but resolute. "Then we take down the field from the inside." A desperate gamble. The Legends devised a risky plan. Shadowstride would teleport Vanguard and Aegis directly into the core of the Eclipse Protocol, bypassing its shields. Pulse would stay behind, coordinating with Earth's forces to cover their approach. The mission was suicide, but there was no hesitation. "If this is how we save Earth," Vanguard said, gripping his blade, "then it's worth it." Shadowstride teleported the team into the heart of the Eclipse Protocol. The core was a blinding storm of energy, its power overwhelming. Dominion guards swarmed the area, but Vanguard and Aegis fought with unparalleled ferocity. Shadowstride darted between enemies, his teleportation abilities allowing him to disable key systems. As Aegis held off the guards, Vanguard reached the core's control panel. "I see it," he said through gritted teeth. "The reactor's overloaded. If I strike it, the whole thing will go." Aegis turned, his shield glowing brighter than ever. "Do it. We'll hold them back." The final sacrifice. Vanguard raised his blade, but before he could strike, Dominion reinforcements poured into the chamber. Shadowstride, realizing they wouldn't last, stepped forward. "Go," he said to Vanguard. "You're needed out there." Before Vanguard could protest, Shadowstride teleported him, and Aegis back to Earth. Left alone, Shadowstride faced the core. With a final, determined breath, he unleashed his full power, shattering the core in a blinding explosion. The Eclipse Protocol collapsed, its energy spiraling out of control. Admiral Korth's flagship was caught in the blast, consumed by the very weapon he had sought to unleash. Victory and reflection. On Earth, the skies cleared, the dark vortex dissipating as the Dominion fleet fell into disarray. Leaderless and overwhelmed, the remaining ships retreated, leaving Earth victorious. Cheers erupted across the planet, but the Legends stood in silence, mourning the loss of yet another comrade. Vanguard, his armor scorched and his blade dull, addressed the people of Earth. "This victory wasn't just ours. It was yours. We fought together, and we proved that no force in the galaxy can break us. The Dominion thought they could crush humanity, but today we showed them the strength of our spirit. A new beginning." In the aftermath, Earth began to rebuild. The origin, now secure, was hidden once more, protected by humanity's collective promise to never let its power fall into the wrong hands. The Legends, though fewer in number, continued their vigil, ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. As the stars settled into their rightful place in the night sky, humanity stood united, stronger than ever. They had faced the galaxy's greatest threat, and won. The Dominion thought victory was theirs. They were wrong. Humanity's Legends had stepped in, and they were just getting started.